All right, welcome back to the second part of Chapter 10, Workbook Homework. And we're going to finish up the construct noun homework here. As I mentioned before earlier in the previous lesson or previous workbook lesson, that the Hebrew construct nouns is a very important chapter here because you find such frequency within the scriptures of construct nouns in relationship to their absolute nouns. And so it's very important that we spend time on this chapter to get it down, how to recognize the endings, recognize the vocalization, vowel changing, or vowel reductions in both the closed unaccented syllable and the open unaccented syllables. Um, I went ahead and alluded to basically if you can look for the Shiva it's in under the first syllable in a two-syllable noun. Uh, that's a dead ringer for it, showing you that that is a construct noun. So we just want to understand the process of how it goes from an absolute state to a construct state, so that you can be able. Again, we are memorizing and understanding these grammatical rules so that we can recognize. And the purpose of recognition is so that when we come to the Torah scroll where there are no vowels on there, we will be able to put the vowels in as we are reading it based upon understanding the rules. So let's go ahead and go into part 2 on construct nouns here, homework, and we're going to give the irregular construct forms of each of the following absolute nouns here. Remember we talked about in that chapter that the patak, yod, and hirik in a monosyllable or in a single syllable here will actually lengthen and contract into a sere yod. So we have bite, not bayit, but bite for house in the absolute. When we go into the construct, it is bait. And we're more familiar with bait because bait occurs so many more times as we went through in the grammar lesson. The house of Beit David or Beit Shemuel, the house of David, the house of Samuel. So we're more familiar with the word bait, the construct form, than we are with the absolute form, a bite for house. Under Isha, and again, these are irregular construct forms, Isha becomes Ashet. The accent is actually on the first syllable here, and then so it goes Isha, Ashet, Nashim, and then Neshe for the construct plural. But for the homework here is Isha is the absolute, Ashet is the construct. Now we have Ben, in number 3 we have the word Bane, and we're more familiar with Ben than we are with Bane because we see the construct of Ben David, the son of David. But Bane is the absolute form for son. And what happens is when the accent, remember, in construct the accent actually shifts to the absolute word or absolute noun. And so you actually are pronunciating these two words, these two nouns, as one accent. And so the accent actually shifts from here, from a serre, then it reduces. Once the accent shifts to the next syllable, it goes to a segol. So ben is the segol is a short E class vowel, and serre is a changeable long E class vowel. So that's the only thing it does. It shifts from a serre to a segol. Now in Zakein, we have the rules here, the two rules under Zakein. The serre under the kof drops out and becomes a patak, and under the rule B for the open unaccented syllable, the comments under the zayin reduces to a simple shava. Thus we have zakan. in here. Again, if you're not sure about the vocalization of the second syllable, look at the shava up under that first syllable right there. That's a dead ringer to tell you that that is a construct noun. We also have a moet or a mavet, or where actually the comets, the vav and the segol, again, just like the bite up here, the comets, comets and the vav and the segol contract to form a holem vav here for moat. And so whenever you see moat here, that is the construct form of mawet here. Okay, let's go ahead and go on down here further into some more of the exercise here. We got beracha for blessing. Beracha. So what we're going to do here now, we got a comments hey verb here, a comments hey noun here. The comments hey, the hey drops out, the comments reduces to a patak. Then we have a reduction of the comments under the resh, which is the open unaccented syllable, to a shava. But because of the rules of shava say that you can't have two contiguous shavas, one under the first letter, one under the second letter, the first shava here in beracha will lengthen to a hirik, and its comments will reduce to a shava. Thus, you will have birchat in here. So this becomes a non-vocal shava. Remember, the first one does the singing or walking. The second one, this one does the talking. The first one does talking. The second one does the walking here. All right, let's go to mayim. It's a one-syllable word, mayim. It's actually a dual noun, and just like the masculine plural endings of hirikod, mimsafit, it acts the same way. It takes a seriod, so you have may in here. So this is a little strange looking here because you expect another vowel something here, but you don't. You have mayim, and it becomes construct plural of the dual form is may. Av, the absolute. Here you in the av and in ach for brother, which we'll get into in a few minutes. Basically, it adds a hirik yod, and not to confuse it with the pronominal suffixes, say of my father, but it has a hirik yod, and what you can tell the difference is when you look at the vowel reduction of the comments under the aleph. That will be your key to tell you that that is a construct noun. And since this is an aleph, it can't reduce down to a simple shava, as you would normally do. It reduces down to a hatif patak, a compound shava, because this aleph is a guttural. And so you have the hatif patak, the vet, and the hirik yod. They are avi. That means the brother of. Now the difference between the pronominal suffix added on here is you have just the hirik yod here on here. And so you'd have avi here. The difference is in the vocalization under the aleph. And melachim for kings. Again, this is a seglet noun. Melech is seglet noun. Seglet nouns have different vocalization patterns than regular nouns, and they're true throughout all the seglet nouns. So you got melachim, and what you do is you would you have a patak up under the mem, a shava under the lamed, and then you take the hirik yod mem safit, drops out, and a seri yod it takes its place to give you the masculine plural construct of melachim, which is malke or malche in there. Anashim for men. Again, the hirik yod mem safit, base drops off, and a seri yod takes its place, and you have a patak under the aleph, and a non-vocal shava up under the noon, which gives you anshe. Again, these are irregulars, so these you just have to memorize for the most part in here. And again, the main thing you're going to do is reading. So what we want to do is you memorize so that you can recognize what this is. Okay, you have ach for brother, just like av. Same thing happens for ach. The commas reduces under the aleph, and the hirik yod is placed at the end, and you have a hatef patak up under the aleph here. Achi. Okay, devarim, masculine plural noun for words. Again, what we'd have here is the hirik yod mem safit drops off, a sarah yod takes its place. The comments under the vet will reduce because it's an open unaccented syllable to a simple shava. And because you already have a simple shava up under the dalet, the first simple shava under the dalet will lengthen to a hirik, and the second shava will be non-vocal under the vet. So it will be div ray. Div ray. The words of, or words of. We have a one syllable noun, yad, on number 13 for hand. And what you want to do here is you want to, the only thing that happens here is the comments reduces to the patak. That's how you know the difference here. Is the comments reduces to the patak. Normally a single syllable word like it will take a, in an accented syllable will take a, accent closed syllable will take a comma. It's a long vowel. So when you see that patak under that yod, that's the yod ringer tell you that, hey, that's a construct noun. On number 14, we have nashim for women. And what we want to do here, of course, this is one of those ones that, although they are feminine, it has a masculine plural ending on it. It's one of those those strange ones. And you have it in both fields, both men and women on here. But the hirik yod mem safit basically drops off. The sarah yod takes its place, showing that it is masculine plural. And then your open unaccented syllable, the noon with the comments reduces to a simple shava, and you have neshe. Neshe for women of. Batim for houses, masculine plural. You have the hirik yod mem safit. Again, that drops off. Hirik yod mem safit drops off. Sarah yod takes its place, and the comments remains the same there. You would expect that to reduce down to a shava, but in this instance it does not. It just says the comments just remains there. Alright, let's go ahead and get into Hebrew composition here, and this is where you have to use the other side of your brain to get to. And so what we want to do is read these read it in English, and then try to translate it in English. I mean to Hebrew, put it into Hebrew. So we got the voice of the good king. So you'd say the voice of, the of is the key, tell you that that is construct. So we have to have kol for voice. Okay, and then remember in Hebrew, the noun comes, the absolute noun comes after the construct noun. So it would be Hamelech, the is here, the king, Hamelech. So you have kol, Hamelech. Then you put the adjective good after the king, because that is an attributive adjective, and we know that attributive adjectives agree with the noun they agree with in gender, number, and in this case in definiteness here. So you got hatov. Hatov is masculine, singular, and with the definite article, just like Hamelech. So the voice of the good king. Kol Hamelech Hatov. The wicked king of the land. So we would take king, which is the noun, wicked is the adjective. So we would basically go and we would say melech. And then we got the absolute noun, ha'art. So ha'art, the land, is the absolute. King is the construct because it comes before the of. So you want to look at the English, king of. So king is construct, land is absolute. And wicked is modifying what type of king. So it has to come after um, the absolute noun. Remember, nothing can separate the construct noun from the absolute noun. So the adjective will come after the absolute noun. So we have melech, haaretz, hara. Hara must agree with melech in gender and number, and in this case definiteness too, because um, melech is definite because of the absolute noun being definite. Haaretz. The king of the wicked land. Okay, we got the subject, the king of, so this is in construct, and land is an absolute. So we have the definite article with land. So, but what we're going to look at is then we will go ahead and put king, which would be melech, okay, of, and then haaretz, which is the absolute noun, haaretz, and then we put the adjective wicked to agree with the wicked land. It agrees with land instead of melech. So we have hara'ah. So we put it together and we have melech, haaretz, hara'ah. In number 4, we'll look at the wives of the king. So the wives are in construct, and king is absolute. So this is plural. Wives is plural. So we would put neshe. It's one of those radical construct nouns. Neshe, and then the king. So it's definite. Hamelech. Neshe Hamelech. The wives of the king. Again, on number 5, we have the wives of the good king. So we're going to add an adjective to the absolute noun, and all we would say is Neshe Hamelech Hatov. The adjective comes after the noun that is modified. And remember, if we had a demonstrative adjective, which we'll probably get into some in the homework here, it would come after the adjective here. If we want to say the wives of that good king. Okay? Alright, the good wives of the king in number 6. So good is modifying the construct noun and not the absolute noun, which is king. King's the absolute noun, so we will want to say Neshe, wives of Hamelech Hatovot, because good has to agree with Neshe in gender, number, and indefiniteness, since it's definite because of the absolute noun Hamelech being definite. Hatovot. And so we would say Neshe Hamelech Hatovot. Number 7, the men of the temple. Men is the construct noun. Temple is the absolute noun. And it has a definite article, so we would put in Anshe, because we know Anshe is the masculine plural construct form of Anashim, and we would put Anshe Hahechal, the temple, the men of the temple. Number 8, we look and see in the English here, and so the words of, that's the construct noun, and we have the prophet is the absolute, and the prophet has a attributive adjective, good, with it. It's modifying what type of prophet. So we're going to come up with the words first, or words, and devarim is the plural masculine absolute, and divrei is the plural masculine construct. So divrei, then we put hanavi, because that's the absolute noun. Nothing can divide the construct from the absolute noun. And we put the adjective, which agrees with prophet, good prophet, hatov. Masculine singular, definite article, agrees with hanavi. Number 9, we have the good works of the prophet. Now, good adjective is going with words. instead of profit in this case. So words is still the construct noun, and profit is still the absolute noun, but now we're switching it. The adjective is going with the construct noun and not the absolute noun. So we would say divrei hanavi hatovim. And we put it plural in here because it agrees with the construct noun, which is masculine, plural. So it must agree, the adjective must agree in gender and in number um, with the construct noun and definiteness too. So it's got to have the definite article in here since hanavi, the absolute noun, has the definite article. Okay, let's go ahead and go on down here and see if we get some more up here. And let's go to number 10 here. The wicked daughter of the prophet. Daughter is the construct noun. Prophet is the absolute noun with a definite article. Wicked is the attributive adjective agreeing with the construct noun. Okay, so what we want to do is daughter is bot. Here we want to put bot. Then we want to put the absolute noun hanavi, daughter of the prophet or the daughter of the prophet. And now we want to put hara'ah, which is the attributive adjective with bot. The evil daughter or wicked daughter of the prophet. The evil or wicked daughter of the prophet. Bat hanavi hara'ah. Number 11, the daughters of that woman. Daughters is the construct, feminine plural construct of, and woman is the absolute noun has a demonstrative adjective with it. So what we would do is daughters is benot, construct benot, of the woman, daughters of the woman, ha'isha, and then you put the demonstrative adjective that, hahi. So remember, hahi, the demonstrative adjective, have to agree with the noun they're modifying, which is ha'isha, in gender, number, and indefiniteness, just like the attributive adjectives. So we have benot, ha'isha, hahi. Number 12 is the wife of that man. Wife is the construct noun, man is the absolute noun, and we have a demonstrative adjective agreeing with man. So we would say Ashet, which is wife of, that's the feminine singular construct of Isha. This one is radical stems. Ashet, Ha'ish, the wife of Ha'ish, the man, the wife of the man. Then we add the demonstrative adjective Hahu, since it is saying that man, the wife of that man. Ashet Ha'ish Hahu. Number 13, we have the wife of this man. So wife is the construct noun, man is the absolute noun. In this case, we're going to have a closer, a more definite demonstrative pronoun. That is an indefinite, is a more indefinite demonstrative pronoun. This is a definite. So this gives you more specificity of which man it is. So we say the wife, which is construct, man, which is absolute. So we would say wife of is Ashet, Haish, the man, the wife of the man, and then we put the the demonstrative adjective after man, and we make it agree with man, Haish, in gender number, so it would be Hazeh. Ashet Haish Hazeh, the wife of this man. Number 14, we have the righteousness of the good king. Righteousness is the construct noun. King is absolute noun. and good is the attributive adjective with king. So we would put righteousness, which is tzedek. It's seglet noun. Tzedek is a seglet noun. So it can be both the absolute or the construct. So we say tzedek, and then of the king, hamelech. So tzedek hamelech here. Tzedek hamelech. And then we put the attributive adjective that agrees with hamelech, hatov. So we come up with tzedek hamelech hatov, the righteousness of the good king. Number 15, the death of that king. Death is the construct noun, king is the absolute noun, and we have a demonstrative or indefinite demonstrative adjective that is agreeing with king. So we got to think of this. Death is mot in the construct. Remember, maweth is the absolute, mot is the construct singular. So you go mot of the king, hamelech, and then that king would be hahu. So mot hamelech hahu is how you would write that in Hebrew. The blessing of the upright prophet. Blessing here is the construct, singular construct, noun, and prophet is the absolute noun, and it's being modified with upright, an adjective, with prophet. So it has to agree with prophet in gender, number, and in definiteness. And since we know it's going to be definite with the on here, so blessing in the absolute is beracha, but in the construct, it's the hay drops out, the comments reduces to a patak, and then because you can't have two shavas, what was the comments up under the resh here is now reduces to a shava, and you already had shava up under the beracha, so that lengthens to a here. So you have birkat, hanavi, hayashar. Hayashar agrees with hanavi in gender, number, and definiteness. So the blessing of the upright prophet. Okay, let's just finish up our rest of our lesson here. These last ones. And okay, we want to look at the good laws. So laws is the construct noun, and land is in the absolute. So we have an adjective that agrees with laws that's in construct. So what we want to do is laws is torot. Remember, torot can be either absolute or construct because it comes from the word Torah. So ot, the holen vav, tav is both absolute plural, feminine plural, and feminine plural construct in this case. So it's going to be the same. Torot, and then of the land. So laws of the land, ha'aretz, and we need to have the adjective good modifying laws, so it comes after the absolute noun with ha-tovot. It agrees with torot in gender, number, and in definiteness because it gets its definite article from the absolute noun ha'aretz here. All right, the laws of the good land. Now we're going to switch. We're going to switch the good land in laws into basically we got the laws, which is the construct noun here. Laws is construct, and then we have land, which is the absolute noun. So we have good, and we have an adjective modifying the absolute noun land. So we would say Torot, the laws, Torot ha'aretz, just like we did before. But in this case, the adjective is going to agree with land and not laws. So we're going to say land is feminine singular, so this has got to be feminine singular. So it's got to be hatova. So Torot ha'aretz hatova. is the laws of the good land. Laws of the good land. Number 19, the blessing of the upright judge. Blessing is the construct noun. Judge is the absolute noun, and it has a definite article, so it's definite. And there is a attributive adjective, upright, that has to agree with judge and gender, number, and definiteness. So we go with Birchat Hashofet Hayashar. Birchat Hashofet Hayashar. So Hayashar has to agree with Shofet, Hashofet, in gender, number, and indefiniteness here. The names of the sons of Israel. Here we have a double, because we got two ofs here, we got a double construct noun. Names has to be in construct and sons has to be in construct. Israel is the absolute noun. And since Israel is a proper name, remember, it's going to be understood to be definite. So the definite articles are going to go on those construct nouns here. So basically what we're going to have here, we're going to have names of is Shmot. Remember, it used to be Shemot with a Sarah here, but because it's in construct, it goes from absolute construct, the Sarai reduces down to a Shema, to a Shawa in a open unaccented syllable. Same thing with B'nai here. B'nai is Bane. It starts with the comments, but the Shiva, the comments reduces to a simple Shiva. You know, the masculine plural absolute is Banim, which is Bait, comments, Noon, here Yod means feet. The here Yod means feet drops off. The Serio takes its place. And the comments that was under the bait, because it's an open, unaccented syllable, reduces from a comments to a Shavah, B'nai, and then you have the absolute noun Yisrael. Shemot B'nai Yisrael, the names of the sons of Israel. Okay, guys, that's it for the rest of Chapter 10 Homework Workbook. Be sure to sign up for the breakout sessions. Go to our website at tobysplace.org and be sure to sign up for the breakout session for this particular week and stuff. Get your name on there because we do have a limited number of spots in there. As our number of attendees grows, and we'll increase those spots, but it should accommodate everyone in there. But anyhow, until next week or until next lesson, shalom.